It's hard to remember a time where the internet and music aren't intertwined. You see, the internet is an essential part of the music industry, as evident by the modern market statistics and the fact that streaming is the #1 medium for music consumption, period. But before we jump into those statistics, I want to talk to you a little bit about the history of the music industry. The history of the music industry can be traced back to the first recording of the phonograph, invented by Edison in the late 1870s. The next big technological jump was the mass production of gramophone discs by Emil Berliner in 1888. Radios became popular in the 1920s, tapes became popular in the 1960s, CDs became popular in the 1980s, and that essentially sums up the pre-internet history of the music industry. Now, the post-internet history goes by really fast. We see MP3s are invented in the 1990s. 7 years later, we see the first attempt at internet-based music sales, and only a year later, we see the first attempt at piracy. The next year, the most renowned piracy site on the internet came out, Napster. 4 years later, Apple released the first commercially successful attempt to sell music online, iTunes. From there, we just see trends. There's no real big technological developments. Like, for instance, since 2003, there's been a sharp decrease in revenue from the music industry. The internet presence has increased drastically, and in the past 5 years, streaming has exploded. The industry today looks a little different. According to the International Federation for Phonographic Industries, the global music market revenue has decreased by 31.6%. The internet holds 54% of the current market, and the market has actually been increasing since 2014 by 21.8%. Again, according to the International Federation for Phonographic Industries, a global music report of 2018, streaming holds about 38.4% of the general music market. Streaming really started to gain traction around the mid-2000s and has exploded, growing by 6,500% since 2006. The last point I want to cover is social media and music. Now, most of the facts in this part come from it's an article called How Social Media and Mobile Technology Have Changed Music Forever by Zachary Evans. The first point that Zachary makes is that social media breaks down walls between musicians and fans. It really connects the people making the music and the people consuming the music. The next point he makes is that it gives musicians a wider audience. Sure, people like Lady Gaga and Katy Perry can sell out a venue of 500,000 seats, but if you're just starting out, the best way to get new fans is through the internet. The final point that he made was social media takes away time from being a musician. Because when you're dealing with social media, you have to be a marketer as well. I'll quote him. When art can't stand on its own without being sold as worthy of consumption, then it changes the role of the artist in a dangerous way. In conclusion, the internet has changed the music industry forever, becoming essential to the success or failure, mainly through venues like streaming and internet music markets.